In this video, I'm going to be running through my favourite player from every Scottish football club in the top 4 leagues, the 42 clubs that make up the SPFL. This isn't necessarily the best footballer at every club in the SPFL, but it's just my favourite one from each club. I've been covering Scottish football for a number of years now. Some footballers I've met in this list, some footballers I haven't, some footballers have just scored on the channel, some footballers I've seen a lot at different clubs up and down the SPFL. So in alphabetical order, starting with Aberdeen, Bojan Majowski. What a player he is. Scored at the weekend against Celtic. Second highest scorer in the league behind Shankland, but has a better goal conversion rate than the Hearts striker. North Macedonian international, absolutely class player. Majowski, my favourite Aberdeen player. Next up in this list is Airdrie. Who else could I look at Airdrie except from player manager Rhys McCabe? He's player manager, and his first season in charge, he led Airdrie to promotion to the Scottish Championship via the playoffs at the end of the 2022-2023 season. He even scored twice in the playoff semi-final against Falkirk. So not only is he the manager of the club, but he also plays a key role on the pitch as well. Third up alphabetically, Alloa Athletic, and my favourite player from them is Connor Salmon, Ireland international, experienced player, played in England, played for Hearts, Motherwell, Killie, etc. He's had a great career and now he's playing at Alloa. Fourth alphabetically, Annan Athletic. Who's my favourite Annan player? Well, that would be Aidan Smith. Dumfries born and hundreds of appearances for Annan. Arbroath is next, and there's no one else that I could have selected except from Michael McKenna, someone I've interviewed before, Mr. Arbroath. He was the 2021-2022 Championship top scorer and player of the year. Yeah, top scorer in the Championship, playing in midfield for Arbroath. He's currently in his 7th season with the club. I know they're struggling a little bit this year, but he plays almost every single game for them. The longevity, the amount of games he plays, the amount of minutes he plays. He won League One for the club in the 18-19 season. Really nice guy, and he's been on the channel before. Next up, Ayr United. I haven't seen a lot of Ayr United, but I did see them in my last matchday vlog that I filmed at the weekend, and for them I've selected Jamie Murphy. I haven't seen a lot of Ayr, like I say, but he's had a good career with hundreds of games in England and Scotland. He's got 2 Scotland caps as well, so yeah, Ayr United, Jamie Murphy. Bonnyrigg Rose. Now, here we go. Kieran McGackie is my favourite Bonnyrigg Rose player, and there is one reason specifically why. It was before the playoff final against Cowdenbeath. He was injured or suspended for that game, and he revealed to The Sun that he threw up in front of the Bonnyrigg fans after a full night on the Buckfast. Absolute legend at Bonnyrigg Rose. He's scored over 100 goals in a few spells at the club, and yeah, he's a key part of the way they play. Big man up front, but yeah, seems like a bit of a character as well. Next alphabetically is the champions of Scotland, Celtic, and yeah, there's a few players that I could have chosen for this. I've obviously seen Celtic play a lot. I've seen them win many trophies. It's been an honour to be at so many big occasions for Celtic in the last couple of years. It was between 2 for me though. Callum McGregor, who is just a stalwart of Scottish football and so good on the ball and just such a good technical midfielder who, if he wasn't Celtic captain, I think he could. Obviously, he loves the club and he loves playing here and being the main man at Celtic. I think he could be a Premier League player. Look at John McGinn, look at McTominay. I think he's that level. He could easily play in the Premier League down in England. But it wasn't him. It was close. It's got to be Kyogo for me. I think he came here as an unknown quantity when, as his manager was as well at that time, Ange Postecoglou. He brought him in from Japan. No one knew how good he was going to be. He hasn't been as good this season, but I do believe that on the channel he's the highest ever scorer with the amount of goals that I've seen. I think he scored the most. The amount of goals he scored, the amount of trophies he's won, the amount of big moments that I've seen of his down the years, yeah, it's just got to be Kyogo. Clyde are next. They're having an absolutely terrible season at the bottom of the League 2. They're 8 points adrift at the time of recording right now. I've seen them play a few times. I do wish them well, but the one player that I always sort of see doing well when I go and watch Clyde, Liam Scullion. I interviewed him as well recently before the Aberdeen game as well. So yeah, always does well when I see him play. But yeah, Clyde themselves aren't doing great. Cove Rangers are next, and it is Mitch Megginson. Who else could I have chosen for Cove? Over 200 goals, and he's been a part of 3 title-winning squads. Dumbarton, again, a team that I haven't seen a lot of, sadly, but it has to be Calvin Orsi. He is the one that stood out when I saw them play Rangers recently in the Cup. He gave Barisic a really, really tough time, the winger. So yeah, Calvin Orsi for me when it comes to Dumbarton. Dundee, there was only one man I could have chosen for this as a Liverpool fan, and that is Owen Beck. Yeah, Owen Beck on loan from Liverpool, related to Ian Rush, capped at under 21 level for Wales. It won't be long till he gets his first Wales cap, I'm sure. He has been called up to the senior squad, but he didn't play. But yeah, Owen Beck has to be for Dundee. Moving just a few hundred yards up the road, Dundee United. Tony Watt, it's got to be. He's always good for an interview. I saw him score again at the weekend against United. That video, like I mentioned earlier. He's on double figures for the season now. Really well-known player in Scotland. He's played for some big clubs, not just in Scotland, but abroad as well. Always good for a chat and an interview as well, so I always appreciate that. Dunfermline are next, and it has to be Craig Whiten for that goal and this vlog. East Fife are next, and it can only be one man. There's a few Kelty legends on this list, and it has to be Nathan Austin. I think before Kyogo came, and before big stadiums opened again, and when I was still watching football during like COVID and stuff, he was the top scorer on the channel. Then I think it was Morelos for a while, possibly Cholak, but now I think Kyogo's taken over. But he even scored when I hadn't seen him play for maybe about a year or so, but he's back at East Fife. He's been there a few times, and he scored when I went to see them play recently as part of the No Rest for the Wicked campaign. So yeah, Nathan Austin, really nice guy, been on the channel many times as well. Edinburgh City, this was a really hard one to pick from because of what they've been through this season. They've released half of their squad because of their financial issues, but I do believe Liam Parker is still there on loan. Like I say, they've released half the squad, but I've met Liam a few times. He's on loan from St Johnstone. He's a nice lad, young defender, and can go far. Elgin City, just from where they're based, I've not seen them play a lot. They're obviously a long way away. They're the most northern SPFL club, but for them it's got to be Brian Cameron. I don't see them too often, like I say, but yeah, he's their longest serving player, club hero, made his debut in 2008 as a 16-year-old, and he's won numerous Player of the Year awards. Falkirk. Now, another Kelty Hearts hero, Alfie Agyeman. Yeah, really good player for Kelty Hearts, and good to see him doing well and playing games for Falkirk this season. Next up, alphabetically, is Forfar Athletic. Andy Munro is my favourite Forfar Athletic player. When it was during COVID and games were behind closed doors, I did see him play a few times, I think for a few different clubs. I think once for Forfar. I've seen him play a few times for Forfar since. He was playing for Steny, I believe, could have been the first ever game that I saw he was playing for Steny, but I certainly saw him in those early COVID days of this channel for Steny. Met him once or twice as well. Nice lad, good defender. Next up, Greenock Morton, one of my favourite stadiums to visit in the top 4 leagues. But who is my favourite Morton player? Well, that will be Alan Power. He's had a good career. He's been down in England as well, the Irishman, but he's played a lot of football up here in Scotland. Most recently, before Morton, he was playing for Kilmarnock in the Premiership. He's had a great career, and I've interviewed him a few times at a few big moments for me. I interviewed him before a Celtic game, and I interviewed him when I was actually working for Sky one weekend as well. Next up, Hamilton. Who's my favourite player for them? Another Kelty Hearts legend, Jamie Barjonas. With 16 goals to his name this season, my favourite Hearts player has to be Lawrence Shankland. I hope he goes to the Euros. What a striker. He's really proven his worth at the moment. Hibs, it's another striker, but it's someone who hasn't played a lot recently due to injuries. It's Adam Lafondra, Englishman. Why is he one of my favourite players in Scotland and my favourite player at Hibs? Well, in the early days of my channel, my second ever matchday vlog, Sydney FC versus Newcastle Jets, he scored a brace, I think. He definitely scored once. I think he might have scored twice. Just funny how the channel comes full circle. Saw him play in one of my first ever videos, when the videos were rubbish back in those days, and I actually was sitting just a few seats away from him when I was in the press box at Hibs recently. He was injured on crutches, sitting up in the stands, and yeah, I was just looking over at him thinking how weird it was that the channel's come full circle like that. For Inverness Caledonian Thistle, I saw his debut, and it has to be Jamie Carragher's son, James Carragher, on loan from Wigan. Really interested to see how he can get on up in Scotland and how his career progresses. Kelty Hearts, it has to be Michael Tidser. Yeah, a lot of the legendary squad has left from the Lowland League / League 2 winning days, but Tidser's still there, and he is another player manager in the SPFL. He had a great career at Morton. He's won a lot as a player for Kelty, and he's always good for a chat, and I interviewed him recently as well. So yeah, Tidser, great guy, player manager. Kilmarnock, it has to be Robbie Dees. Interviewed him a couple of times. I've interviewed him up at Inverness Cali Thistle. I was really happy for him when he got his move to Kilmarnock. Big move for him up into the Premiership, and yeah, I think he can go really far in his career. He's had some great games this season already against Celtic and Rangers. He's had a couple of injuries, but yeah, keep an eye on Robbie Dees. He's going to be a top player in the future. Livingston, not having a good season in the Premiership, sadly. They've always been great with me, the media team, the people behind the scenes, the fans. So yeah, I'll be gutted if they go down. They are getting cut adrift a little bit at the moment. But for me, their favourite player, former Liverpool goalkeeper, who Jurgen Klopp played outfield once in a pre-season friendly, Shamal George. Interviewed him a few times. Like with Alan Power, I interviewed Shamal for one of my Sky bits that I did for them. And I've interviewed him many times as well at different games too. Really nice guy. He's about 2 foot taller than me. But yeah, Shamal George, favourite Livy player. Montrose, a team I've not seen a lot, and I've still not even been to their stadium. Have I ever seen them play away? I don't know if I have, you know. Montrose, yeah, I'm not hugely aware of a lot of their players. I will be going up there soon though. But yeah, Paul Watson, over 300 appearances for Montrose. Motherwell are next. Lennon Miller, he's now 17 years old. He burst onto the scene at the start of this season when he was 16. Really, really exciting player. And I'm excited to see how far he can go in his career. Partick Thistle, sadly a team I've not seen a huge amount of, but when I have, Aidan Fitzpatrick has always played well. 22 years old and one of the Championship's most exciting young players. I wonder how far he can go in his career. Next up, Peterhead, again, a team that I haven't seen a lot of, and a team that I've still not been to their stadium of. There's only two, it's Montrose and Peterhead, but it has to be Peter Pawlett. He's a big name. He's won trophies at Aberdeen and Dundee United. Queen of the South, I've been down there, great stadium, and it has to be Effie Ambrose, Nigeria international. He just loves Scottish football. He's still here and he's going strong at 35 years old. Obviously after Queen of the South comes Queen's Park, and my favourite Queen's Park player has to be Will Tizard, young English defender. I hope he goes on to achieve big things, and look at this, even his family have come down from the south coast to support him up in Scotland. You love to see it. Raith Rovers, there can only be one man. It's it. Oh, yes! Oh, what a man. Second team of the big two. We're on to Rangers now. We've already discussed Celtic. It was close to being a Celtic captain, but for Rangers, yeah, it could have been a few players, but for me it has to be Tav, someone that I interviewed this season. A huge moment for me, but the amount of goals and moments that I've seen from him down the years, particularly in Europe, like that run to the Europa League final, the goals that he scored against Dortmund, and all of the great moments that he's given the Rangers fans. He came at such a tough time, and he gets a lot of stick. All the Rangers players get stick at certain times, but especially when you're the captain, the eyes of all the fans are always on you, the scrutiny's always on you, but he's come in at such a tough time for the club, and just to prove what a great player he's been, he won what is now the SPFL Trust Trophy, the Scottish Challenge Cup. He beat, was it Peterhead, I think, in the final at Hampden Park, and he's gone on to then captain Rangers in the European final. He's won the league, he's won the cup, he's won the League Cup. It just has to be Tavernier. Next up, we're getting towards the end, is Ross County, and it has to be Jan Danda. Formerly of Liverpool, he's moved to Swansea, and now Ross County, and he's really proved himself as a good player in the Premiership, and he is soon to join Hearts in the summer. He signed a pre-contract agreement with them, and he will link up with them once this season finishes. St Johnstone, another Kelty Hearts link, is Max Kucheravi. Yeah, he's been, I'm proud to see him playing quite a lot for St Johnstone these days. Saw him play in League 2 for Kelty Hearts, and he scored the winning goal for Kelty Hearts, which actually won them the title in League 2. So yeah, Ukrainian Max Kucheravi, remember the name, he's going to go on to achieve big things. St Mirren, it has to be Elvis Buomono. I hope I pronounced it right, but I had him on FIFA years back for a Yeovil career, when I took Yeovil to the Champions League and won it with him. Yeah, I signed him from Southend United, and I know that he's left Southend and gone elsewhere, but now he's come to St Mirren. So yeah, I was delighted to see him join the Premiership. Isn't it weird when you always see players that you've signed on FIFA or Football Manager? And yeah, for me, St Mirren, it's got to be him. Steny, another Kelty legend, Darren Jameson, great goalkeeper. Steny have never won a league title in their whole lives, particularly I think in the top 4 leagues. I don't know if they'd won like old leagues back in the day. It's something I'm going to have to look into and actually go and see them play, but they've never won either of the SPFL leagues. And Darren Jameson, he has won League 2 of Kelty Hearts before, and yeah, I hope he can win it for Steny this year in goal. Stirling Albion, Jack Leach, met him once or twice off camera, nice guy. Stranraer, Craig Ross I'm going for. I've not seen enough of them, but Craig Ross scored when I saw Stranraer recently. And for Spartans, it has to be Cammy Russell because of this. Look at the company he's in when it comes to assists in the top 4 leagues in Scotland. Really, really good player and doing great things for the Spartans. So there are my favourite favourite players from every club in the top 4 leagues in Scotland. What are some of your favourite players? Did I miss anybody out? Are you a fan of one of the clubs that I've not seen a lot of and you think that I should have included somebody else? Yeah, I absolutely love Scottish football, obviously, and I've met a lot of the people that I've spoken about in this list before, so it's not always necessarily the best player at the squads in every squad, but yes, just like some of the favourite players and the iconic players that I've seen from down the years. Who's your favourite Celtic player? Who's your favourite Rangers player? I know there'll be a lot of Old Firm fans watching this video, so do let me know in the comments section below. I recently went to Switzerland, so I'm going to leave that video on screen. If you want to see some beautiful scenery out in Europe, then yeah, please do click on that video to carry on watching. I will also leave a Scottish video on screen. If you want to catch up on some recent Scottish action, then please do click on that one. If not, please do support the channel and click on this Swiss video. Thank you so much and goodbye.